It is a period of Star Wars mania, as new movies, comic books, novels, and TV shows populate the system. Fueled by their love and passion for the galaxy far, far away, two exceptional geeks tap into hundreds of holocrons in order to bring you the knowledge and insight of all things Star Wars. Come and join them as they go inside the Force.
Welcome back, everybody, to Inside the Force. This is David Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
And this is episode 47, the last episode of episode 1 month.
Yeah.
Going to wrap it up. Some big things to talk about this episode. We've got a brand new Clone Wars trailer, finally, that kicks off the 6th and final season of the Clone Wars series that's hitting Netflix here on March 7th. We are going to be talking about that trailer and kind of getting a little bit into some of the episodes that we're expecting to see. Of course, we'll get into some trivia later, some news that's running around out there this past week. But first, we got to do our final profile of the month, and we are going to profile Ric Olié.
Ric Olié. Not a lot of people know him.
Does anybody know Ric Olié?
I do.
Of course you do. And we'll tell everybody why here in a little bit. But Ric Olié is the basically what you know him from episode 1 as the pilot of the Queen's ship. The Queen Starship, when they are sneaking out of Naboo and heading to Coruscant to fight the Senate on the Trade Federation blockade of their planet. So that's Rick there behind the controls. Yeah. And he basically... It's funny because reading his profile, I guess a lot of fans... Did you read that part?
What's that? No,
a lot of fans dubbed him Captain Obvious.
Oh.
Because his lines...
At the end,
well, all his lines are... Like in the there's the blockade.
Yeah, that's the Even at the end when they're fighting at the end of the movie, he's
So
talking about the blast, and he said we didn't hit it or whatever. I don't know,
but
that's just.
But we love Rick.
One of the reasons why everybody probably hates the dialogue.
Probably,
so
I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the only reason I know who he is, his name, is because I had his toy.
Like you did,
I had his toys. Like, how do you say that? Ric Olié,
Ric Olié. So we'll just dive right into him and get that going. Of course, he is from Naboo. Grew up very enthusiastic about flying, which gave him his nickname, which hence the name of this episode, Reckless Rick.
Reckless Rick.
And growing up, he flew a lot of short flights for civilians, actually, in his Sandeck Skyflipper. Just around, village, from small village to village, flying people, civilians, from place to place. And then, he crashed at one point, which obviously would make some pilots quit their job or whatever, get fired or whatever. But anyway, he kept at it. He actually built his own ship from the broken parts and continued flying.
Attaboy.
Yeah, and so that's where his enthusiastic nature of flying kept going. After graduating, he enrolled in the Chamel Sectors Academy. Now, I wasn't exactly sure. I was going to have you look that up, sure what that was. But that... But he did that in hoping to land a job as a home guard pilot. So, because he was so loyal to his country or his system, obviously Naboo, he didn't join the Republic Defense Academy. He instead decided he wanted to become a part of the Naboo Royal Space Fighter Corps, which. Was the main fighter pilots, obviously, for the Palace of Theed. So he was. What are you about to say?
Well, the Chamel sector, I guess. I mean, it's a sector in the mid rim, And it only includes Naboo and Chamal Minor.
Oh, okay.
It's just a tiny little sector.
So a little, obviously it's a little of academy there for pilots.
Right.
But because I guess while he was in that academy, he did see some combat. So when he joined the Naboo Royal Space Fighter Corps, he was actually one of the few that actually had seen combat. So immediately he was then promoted to captain and placed into the command of Theed's main fighter squadron, which was Bravo Squadron.
Bravo leader,
if you remember from episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the pilots were a little skeptical of this because they knew that some of the combat that he had seen involved a lot of enemy pirates, apparently, that weren't as tested as pilots, so they weren't as skilled as he is claiming to be. So anyway, but he had a lot of backing from his superior at the time, which was Ars Varuna, and he became one of the first pilots actually to test the N1 Starfighter, which is the yellow starfighter that is prominent in episode 1 on Naboo, in the Battle of Naboo. So in time, working his way up, he ends up becoming head of the Space Fighter Corps, put in charge of Echo and Alpha flights, as well as Bravo Squadron, which you were saying, which gave him Bravo Leader, the call sign Bravo Leader. So he was in charge, eventually, by the time episode 1 rolls around, he was in charge of the entire Naboo Starfighter Navy. All of its ships, all of the starfighters. He flew his own personal N1 fighter, which you saw. And he was a very, what do you call it? Superstitious, actually.
Yeah.
He's very superstitious and looked at his astro droid R2A6 as a lucky charm. He always wanted him, obviously, piloting part of his ship. Obviously, R2D2 ended up being ultimate lucky charm in a sense, but he always had R2A6 within his N1 Starfighter. So that basically, being so far up, obviously Bravo leader and the head of the only superior he had in the security forces was Captain Panaka. And so obviously he was very, very high up, very, very in charge of a lot of duties with the Naboo Navy. That pretty much leads all the way up to what happens in episode 1 when we catch up with Rick. He is obviously he's in charge of everything. So, but he's also he is also the pilot of the Queen's Starfighter.
Right.
So when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon free the pilots, he's the one that jumps on the ship to take them out and to head to Coruscant. Now, it's said, I don't know how much time, actually, it's not really shown how much time is involved as far as, because it's always been a little bit of a mystery how long it actually takes for hyperspace.
Oh, yeah.
Minutes. I mean, there's...
How they drive light speed, so I guess, or they travel light year speed. I don't know.
Correct.
What that would necessarily be.
Like, the time from, when they were traveling from apparently Tatooine to Alderaan in episode 4, it's like,
yeah,
what was that, like 30, 40 minutes or something like that, So
Corey Cooley might have a guess.
Maybe.
He's all into all that.
Maybe.
Whatever stuff.
Yeah, because you got to, I don't know, you just got to take a lot of it into account, but I think what they're saying is in this profile of Rick is that the time that they had from going from Coruscant back to Naboo, they actually had a lot. He had a lot of time to teach Anakin a lot of things about flights and about the flight controls and everything like that. So, which obviously contributed to him being such a great pilot.
Yeah.
It might be Rick that's actually claiming that he taught him, but who
He's
knows?
sitting down somewhere. I taught him.
I taught that guy.
Sit down.
Everything he knows. Do you know he's the Dark Lord of Sith now?
Yeah.
I didn't teach him anything.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But so obviously in the Battle of Naboo, he led the squadron, Bravo Squadron, to the attack of the droid-controlled battle. What do you call it? Droid-controlled.
It was the battle station.
Battle station. Yeah.
I mean, droid.
Yeah.
The battle station.
But of course, obviously, it was Anakin who found his way in, shot the battle station from the inside.
It's coming from the inside. We didn't hit it.
Yeah. So that was Ric Olié. He's Olé. He survives the Battle of Naboo, of course, and there's not much known about him post Episode 1. Because there's not much recorded of him during the Clone Wars, so not really sure what happens to Ric Olié.
Be cool if he showed up in Rebels.
It's possible, I guess. It's definitely possible.
That'd be pretty cool.
He was portrayed by Ralph Brown in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So that is a real quick profile of Ric Olié. Now, the reason why I really wanted to kind of talk about him was people, if you've heard the show, we've sometimes briefly, we don't do it enough, but we don't talk about our fan films that we've created over the years. We created 2 of them. Episode 4, 4.5, The Unknown Discovery, and episode 3.8, Rise of the Troopers. Now, Rise of the Troopers was our second film, but it was actually a prequel.
Yeah.
Now, what's really good about this movie is that we portrayed our 2 main characters, the Stormtroopers character guys. We showed their upbringing, right? We showed them growing up on Naboo, going to like some elementary school. And then it was
high school or something like that.
Well, it's Tarkin High.
Tarkin High, that's right.
And I can't remember the elementary school. Or it was Dooku. Was it Dooku Elementary? Yeah, I think it was Dooku Elementary.
That's so weird. Why would you name it that?
Because Dooku was Count
true.
Dooku. He was.
He would have paid homage to.
Yeah,
name a school after him.
Well, he put a lot of money into it. He had a lot of money. So it was Dooku Elementary School. These guys, these 2 stormtroopers, kind of met each other there and kind of grew up together. And so while they're in high school, though, or Tarkin High,
right.
They one of the stormtroopers, I think it was 212, noticed somebody getting kicked on.
Yeah.
And Casey here played that person. And it was, the thing about our movies is they're spoofs. They have a story, but we kind of spoof different films. And this particular scene was a Napoleon Dynamite, right? Where is it Napoleon that's getting?
No, it's some kid.
It's some other kid.
Napoleon comes over.
Napoleon's the one that comes over, right? So you're playing the kid that's getting bullied. Napoleon comes over and says, after the guy, you give him his money. It's funny because he's like,
jerking.
Give me 50 credits.
Yeah.
Give me
50 credits. Yeah. I don't have any credits.
Yeah. And so he comes over and asks you how you're doing, and that's how he gets you to vote for him. Whatever. Right. Really cool thing. You can check it out, obviously, at our YouTube channel, 21 at 21 Pro on YouTube. Mm-hmm. But what the big thing about the movies is I wanted to still tie them into the actual films.
Correct.
So episode 4.5 is called 4.5 because technically it happens halfway through episode 4.
Yeah.
When Alderaan is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Now 3.8 is Rise of Troopers is because it happens before episode 4. Mm-hmm. A couple years before episode 4. So that time, from 3 to 4 to take whatever. So it works out that way sometimes. Yeah. So at that time, when your character was in high school, this was prior to 3.8. Obviously, This was sometime before But yeah, so we thought, well, we want to give our characters, our characters all have names. For example, the news announcer that's talking to them is Skip Antilles.
Right.
So he's part of the Antilles
Big
family,
big Antilles
huge family.
Yeah, so it could work.
And then we decided, you know what, we're gonna get, and it's good because it's not like, it's good that it can still be canon because
It could.
we didn't read anything on Rick that he doesn't have family.
Yes.
So you play Mick Olié.
Mick.
You're Rick's nephew
Yep.
going through high school. So
Uncle Rick.
Uncle Rick. So we that's and you see it in the credits. That's your
Mick
Mick
Olié.
Olié. That's your
I like
credit.
that name. It's a good name. Mick.
Yeah.
Mick Olié.
So that's who you played, and we said that back then too. It wasn't something that we went back and just changed. We were like, yeah, let's tie this in. You're from the Boo, he's from the Boo. Let's make it a family thing.
I'm a huge Modal Nodes fan too.
That's right.
Wear that shirt all the time.
That's right.
I actually
Yeah.
wore it at Celebration. I love that. That's a good shirt.
It was a good shirt.
Fits well.
So that's kind of why we picked Rick in this episode. Kind of finish out episode 1 month, kind of connected to our fan films. Again, you can check out those fan films at our YouTube channel, or just their individual websites, theunknowndiscovery.com and riseofthetroopers.com. So check those out. All right, moving on to some news before we get into
before all the
big
Clone Wars
trailer thing.
stuff. So, I mean, all the stuff that really happened this past week. There's a lot of rumors. One of them was basically about Harrison Ford. Because everybody's already assumed, okay, he's going to be in it. Let's just cut the crap. He's going to be in it. Although he hasn't really said it. But Harrison Ford is apparently in negotiations to star in some new TV series called Texas Ranger. It has all these other big famous Western actors like Ed Harris, Kevin Costner, and somehow, for some reason, Andy Garcia. But and it's a weird little piece of news story because there's not much more information given. But basically, I'm talking about it because everybody's worried, saying, is this going to conflict with Star Wars, even if he is in Star Wars or whatever? Because if they're going to start shooting in May, this show starts shooting really soon, apparently. But, people are saying, like, maybe he's just a cameo appearance in this new TV show, whatever. I just think, don't even worry about it. Harrison Ford's going to be in Star Wars Episode 7. Come on. I mean, it's not a fact yet, but it's pretty much fact. Why? I mean, everybody would be. If we watch Star Wars Episode 7 and you never see Harrison Ford, everybody's going to be sorely disappointed.
Totally.
Like, seriously, it will not be good if he's not in it. And there's a lot of rumors that came out this past week about plot and other casting, saying, like, one source is pretty sure saying, like, all right, these are the people that are going to be in it. The original 3 are going to be in it. And we're going to have, Warwick Davis is going to be in it. Billy D. Williams is going to be in it. Anthony Daniels, of course, as C-3PO. And Ian McDiarmid coming back as Palpatine. Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be in it. Gary Oldman's going to be in it. Like, this one source, I mean, I'm reading from this one source that's been pretty good about scoops. But this right here, I mean, they're jumping to a lot of, I don't know, not conclusions, but they're making a lot of statements, a lot of big statements. And the plot that they're saying is kind of what's already been rumored is it's about the twins, which will go towards the dark side. But it doesn't specify what twins. I assume the Solo twins is what they mean. And it says, will they follow in the father's footsteps, or is it going to be something else? And it's just basically the legacy of the Skywalkers. So not a whole lot of new stuff. The coolest, the most interesting thing came out was that Cumberbatch and Gary Oldman, this source says that those two actors were pursued for the same role, and they don't know how it will work out with the script changes, but they're both going to be involved in the movie, although they were pursued for the same role. So this is really strange. I don't know if they're getting confused, maybe with if this source really did see something from Episode 7, if they looked at Michael Arndt's script and the new script or whatever, and they're getting confused. Who can say until we see some more stuff or get some confirmations? But I actually had an interesting theory I was thinking after I read this. If Cumberbatch and Gary Oldman are supposed to be in it together, if they both play villains. And some of these rumors that we've heard about like Palpatine being in it, all this kind of stuff, and even Ian McDiarmid's rumored to be in it. What if? Would this be cool if there were flashbacks in Star Wars? Although we never have had flashbacks, if there was a flashback with Cumberbatch and Oldman, be some cool cameo. Like, what if Benedict Cumberbatch played a younger Palpatine and Gary Oldman played Darth Plagueis? That'd be kind of cool if somehow they would.
Wow.
That would never happen, but I was thinking
so
that would be
either,
really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I can imagine, because you've seen Dracula, right? With Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves. Imagine, like, I just had a picture, like, Gary Oldman looking kind of like that as a Sith Lord. Like, he would be so good. Like, I hope he's
but we do know what Plagueis looked like.
Yeah, he's kind of weird looking.
He's an alien. He's
alien,
he's that banking clan.
Yeah.
Skinny.
Big head, long head, skinny
yeah.
head, yeah. So, I don't know I mean, it's Cumberbatch and Gary Oldman have been very cool, so it's always assumed like they're probably going to be in it since they're not saying no. But who knows? This is just a rumor. And there's more like with that. A while ago they talked about Ksenia Solo, however you say her name, was rumored to be in it. There's apparently just that those rumors are being resurfaced. So a lot more rumors, nothing totally confirmed yet, but we should be getting a lot of confirmations here soon. We keep saying that, but we really will get it soon, I'm sure. That's all about, really, all the stuff about Episode 7. The rest is fact, which is Clone Wars, which we'll talk about now.
Yes. Brand new trailer debuted. Was it this weekend? I guess it was Friday or something like that, right?
Yeah. Friday? No, or earlier than that? Friday, probably, yeah, this weekend. Yeah, Friday, I think you're right. Friday or Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think you were already gone out of town. So
yeah,
debuted basically, which is crazy because it's only 2 weeks away.
Yeah,
less than 2 weeks now. That the entire sixth season and final season of the Clone Wars, the entire series is going to be released on Netflix March 7th, which is a week from this coming Friday. And I got to say, this is one of the most exciting trailers I've seen for the Clone Wars. Now, we've always gotten trailers or teasers for the seasons of the Clone Wars, like especially if you went to Celebration, you got some looks.
Yeah.
But nothing felt like this. This felt like, it's weird because seeing the Rebels teasers, I really felt like it connected to Episode 4 a lot. The original trilogies.
Yeah.
This did too, though. I mean, now, granted, it was one of the first times they really used the original music because Clone Wars does a good job of kind of creating their own score.
Yeah. But,
man, every time you tie in the right scenes with the music from the original trilogy, man, it just feels so right. But phenomenal trailer. This really heightens my excitement for the rest of this Clone Wars.
And if you guys watched the camera one that I did with my initial review, it is completely and totally amazing. And there's a lot of things in it that really raised some eyebrows. Some of the obvious, things with Qui-Gon Jinn, Dagobah, a lot of these other things.
Let's break it down. So the trailer, so the very beginning, obviously, has the first thing you hear is Yoda's Qui-Gon's voice, played by Liam Neeson again, talking to Yoda about sending him to Dagobah.
Yeah, completing work that he couldn't finish, Qui-Gon, which that is also interesting.
It is because, and I feel like what he's referring to is the fact that you don't see his body ever.
Yeah.
You know how you hear his voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But later on, Yoda and Obi-Wan become actual
Force ghosts. Yeah.
Ghosts.
Yeah.
Which is hard to say exactly because I want to say did he not show up to Anakin during the 2D version, or was it the?
Oh,
did he not show up at some point?
I see what you mean. Well, in the 3D version,
was it or was it the 3D
Ghost
version?
of Mortis? He showed to Obi-Wan, but that was like not really like a Force vision. I'm not sure. But remember the whole Liam Neeson.
Yeah, Liam
returning.
Neeson voiced, right?
Right.
So he did show up, right?
He showed up, but it wasn't like the Blue Force ghost. It was the episode where like all three of them were having like these visions. Like Anakin saw the whole Darth Vader thing. I think Ahsoka had her whatever part where she was being turned.
Oh, that's right. So that's when he showed up?
Yeah, and Obi-Wan saw Qui-Gon.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of then.
Yeah.
Okay, so see, that's what I think might be what he means by you. I wasn't able to finish. I got halfway there.
Yeah.
I'm able to come back, but
Yeah.
I'm not able to come back as a ghost. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's what Yoda
That's so crazy.
goes and accomplishes.
That's so crazy.
Because the biggest thing I got from this trailer was that whatever lingering questions are out there
Yes.
from episode 2 to 3, I mean, it's answered.
That's and I raised that. I mean, that was like the whatever deleted part of my camera one. I said that too. Like every single question, all the big ones that you had about Sifo-Dyas,
That is the biggest one by
Order
far.
66.
Well, Order 66, that's obviously explained a lot in episode 3, I think.
Yeah,
enough.
but just like, did the clones always know, or is it like
Right.
a switch that just was turned on? How was that programmed?
the chameleon, Caminoans,
Kaminoans, I think.
Caminoans.
Kaminoans.
It's Camino.
Camino.
So Caminoans.
Kaminoans.
Caminoans.
Kaminoans.
That's
whatever.
fine.
The people of Camino.
The people of Camino, did they know? Did Lama
Yeah.
Su know?
Yeah.
Which it looks like in the trailer that they did.
Absolutely.
Now, Sifo-Dyas, it is, you can research that.
Yeah.
I think there was a comic book
Oh, right.
series that explained a little bit about what happened there, about the, not so much into detail, but enough to know that, spoilers if you don't want to know, a little bit, I guess. But according to Sifo-Dyas' profile, he's basically, he actually was kind of on the side of Dooku in a sense.
It's like separatists, not really dark side though.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he knew that there was something wrong with the Republic.
Right.
That there was a dark force possibly, and he agreed with Dooku, who was just basically setting him up, not knowing. But Dooku was setting him up like, hey, we should commission an army just in case. And that's why he went and did that. But then when he did that, Dooku turns around and betrays him. Mm-hmm. But it's not, I just remember it's not, it was so quickly skimmed over in episode 2.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, who is this
Sifo-Dyas?
Because there was a big rumor. I remember there was a big rumor going on because that part was actually in the trailer of episode 2.
Part?
Yeah, the part where he says, Jedi Master Sifo-Dyas commissioned the clone army. Mm-hmm. I remember that part being in the trailer. And if you remember, and you can go back and watch it, for some reason, when Obi-Wan's talking, he cuts out, like right when he says Sifo-Dyas.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people thought at the time, and I actually did too, that it was basically Sidious changing his name.
Yeah, that's right.
He was telling the Kaminoans, my name is Sifo-Dyas, even though his name is Sidious, right? Mm-hmm. So he was so everybody claimed, oh, well, Sifo-Dyas is Sidious. Sidious is Sifo-Dyas. But it was actually, and then it wasn't until much later, till after episode 2, I think pretty much between the production of episode 2 and 3, that all of a sudden it came out that no, there was a Jedi Master Sifo-Dyas. Yeah. And I was like, what? Well, okay, so that means in episode 3 we're gonna get the whole story. Well, we don't get anything,
right?
Anything about him in episode 3. So I remember always thinking about it. I remember the first time I watched episode 3, I was like, what happened to Sifo-Dyas? Is that real or what? What's going on?
I mean, I guess Lucas. Do you think he might have held it back to tell the story later?
I do. I think that that the comic came out later. That maybe that was enough.
Yeah.
Or maybe there was. See, I remember reading the novel episode 3. There wasn't anything in that either. So. Yeah, I think possibly it was, let's explore that during the Clone Wars because that's when it happens.
Yeah. I mean, and
But they obviously don't know. They obviously don't figure it all out,
right?
Or else, because in episode 3, they still won't know.
Yeah, Jedi don't know, but because in the trailer, the Clone Wars trailer, Dooku is talking to Lama Su, whoever,
Yes.
saying don't let them know. So do they know that Dooku, I guess, is with Sifo Dyas, or do they know Dooku is?
Yes, I think so, because remember, like I said in the comic,
Yeah, because they were together.
I think they both went. They both went, but he went as Tyrannus.
That's right, Lord. Yeah,
Lord Tyrannus.
yeah,
But which is kind of skeptical, but too, because then Sifo Dyas would have known he was a Sith. You know what I mean? Like if he went by a different name, so he must have maybe went separately, or maybe went after.
I mean, we'll
find whatever.
out.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think it'll be cleared up. Yeah,
yeah.
But no, it because remember Jango Fett was commissioned by Tyrannus.
Yeah, that's right.
Not Sifo Dyas.
Yeah.
So Sifo Dyas, all he did was basically, all as far as I know, he showed up and said, "Hey, the Jedi Council wants a cloned army. Begin the process," which was around right after Episode 1, because it took 10 years to get where they were, and the gap is 10 years from 1 to 2. So it was very, very shortly after Episode 1, after basically Maul was killed.
Yeah.
Tyrannus, Dooku was recruited as his next apprentice. So I'm looking forward to that arc heavily. Of course, it looks like there is, like you said, there's an Order 66.
Yeah.
Protocol 66. They call it Order. They call it Protocol. But there's something that goes there. Now, we saw that at the last celebration.
The clip, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Where the one clone, malfunctions, I guess, and begins going after a Jedi. Remember that clip?
Yeah.
That was one of the early clips that got released of what was going to be Season 6. So that begins obviously a lot of questions that the Jedi have, which is interesting. I mean, that one clone apparently that's highlighted in the trailer is the one that kind of flips out, and they don't know why, and somehow they got to hide the fact that they implanted him and all this stuff. So very interesting there. Now, before we get into the whole Korriban thing, the one thing is missing, obviously, in this trailer, which I'm assuming is not going to happen anymore, I guess, but I don't know. There's no Ahsoka.
Yeah, that's right.
So I guess her story is technically over with. With what happened at the end of season 5.
Do some big reveal, but yeah, I mean, you see Shaak Ti in there, I think, right?
You do see Shaak Ti.
Yeah. Because I did look back and say, "Hey, that was Ahsoka." I was like, "Oh no, it's not. It's just Shaak Ti."
Which Shaak Ti, I'm surprised she hasn't been as featured yet, because she's one of the few that actually survives.
Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah.
Because she's in The Force Unleashed. Mm-hmm. So she survives the whole 19 years.
Yeah.
Of hiding
on Felucia.
Correct. Yeah. So I'm hoping that she does get more in front of the camera and kind of understand more about her. Maybe we'll profile her at some point, but because she is a very important character as far as what it looks like to be the survival of the Jedi. Uh-huh. But yeah, no Ahsoka. I'm not sure she'll show up, and it'd be interesting to see if Ashley Eckstein comes out and talks about that at all. You know, if she's not in this season, but what we know from season 5, she left the Order. And it was always going to be that. It was always that question of, well, she's got to die.
Yes.
Because she's not in episode 3.
Yeah, I guess she didn't have to die.
But she didn't have to die. Yeah. She can leave.
Never saw that coming.
Never saw that coming. I did not either. That was very well done, I thought.
Yeah.
So what else did you take away from this thing?
The Dagobah. Talk about Dagobah.
Yes.
Yoda going there, I guess, finding out that whole dark side cave. Might get an origin to that. Who knows?
Which, again, makes sense in episode 3.
Yeah.
Why he goes there.
Exactly. To learn more about the stuff, learn more about the Force, basically. That's so crazy. I'm so excited.
It's unbelievable how well it ties in.
Yeah.
So now the big thing is the Sith homeworld.
Yeah.
Everybody that has now, granted, the only time, now make sure I'm saying this right, the only time the Sith homeworld has really been mentioned is in the EU.
Yes.
Is that right?
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Or has it been mentioned actually with Darth Bane? Now, I don't. Now,
Well,
Darth Bane is canon.
Yeah, the book
And is he in a book? He has his own book,
there's
right?
Darth Bane books that aren't like, George Lucas didn't write it, I'm sure. It's
so
EU books.
Okay, so technically Darth Bane, the character, is canon.
Yes.
But his stories, his whole story in a way, the creation of the Rule of Two is canon.
Right.
Whether or not those stories in the books of his technically may not be. So technically, like I said, I think I'm right in saying that, yes, Korriban, which is to Star Wars fans of the EU, that is the homeworld of the Sith.
Right.
Now, like we mentioned before, I think we mentioned it way back when we did Darth Bane, which was episode 2, I think, of this podcast. The thing about it is Korriban is not the religion technically of the Sith. It was actually the homeworld of a race called the Sith.
Correct.
And the fallen Jedi that left the Order,
Yeah.
they found their way there to hide from the Jedi. Now, the thing about Korriban, and as far as, like I said, the EU goes, and I mean, I guess, I don't even know if it's really canon. I don't know if you can really take anything in the map of the galaxy as canon technically until the.
I mean, the Lucasfilm has like a list of all the planets, so I don't know.
But what we're seeing in like the Wikipedia is actually the actual Lucasfilm map. Who knows? But anyway, what it says is Korriban is actually surrounded by this like nebula kind of thing, where it's very difficult to enter when you're just flying into it. There's a lot of you have to be very, very skilled to get through there, as well as it actually shrouds the planet from the light side. Yeah. It's very dark, so it's very difficult to see, as they clearly say in the movies a lot of times. So anyway, the Dark Jedi find their way there and become somewhat like gods to the Sith. They end up ruling them and eventually end up training them because they're Force sensitive. Yeah. And that's what spawns the Sith race of Dark Jedis. Yeah. That's safe to say, right?
Yeah.
And that's Korriban.
Yes. And later on, they actually have a Sith Academy there.
Correct.
That's featured
temples
a lot in the games, yes.
All the holocrons are, a lot of holocrons are stored there. Yeah. But what we're getting now, and it's tough because in the trailer, these 4, I don't even know what
sages. I think they are.
They're sages.
I think they're the sages.
Sages of what?
Philosophy, life, philosophy.
Are they on the Sith homeworld? Or are they on Dagobah?
I don't know.
Okay, so these
they're like
4 sages that are talking to Yoda.
They might be spirits. I'm not sure.
Okay, they're telling Yoda that he must go to what it sounds like is Moraband.
Moraband,
and they say the ancient homeworld of the Sith.
Right.
So Korriban might be Moraband, or Moraband might be Korriban, or it could be another, because Korriban wasn't just the only homeworld. Yeah. Actually, Korriban was abandoned. Yeah. Once the great Sith and Jedi wars started kicking off, Korriban was actually abandoned by the Sith and left because it took years, thousands of years, for other Sith to go back. For example, mainly Darth Bane. Yeah. He had to go back there and find the holocrons to learn a little bit more about it. So, I mean, it is an ancient homeworld, but
Maybe it's another name or of more ancient than Korriban,
Maybe.
or something. Oh well, that's so.
Or they could simply just be Xing Korriban out of the
Yes.
EU.
Yep, it's true. Gosh, dang! Like Clone Wars is gonna screw with the EU way before the movies will.
That might be what their intent is.
Maybe.
To,
So, like, seriously, if they say Morbon, that knocks out pretty much almost anything.
Anything Sith related, right?
Yeah, because I'm looking the appearances Korriban. Where has Korriban been mentioned? Like, and it's been mentioned in so many books. It was never mentioned in the movies.
No.
It was mentioned in the closest thing to the movie is like the Labyrinth of Evil novel that happened right before Episode 3.
Yes,
it was mentioned in that. It was mentioned in
it was. Now,
Yeah.
see, that is canon, right?
the part. I mean, like, I think the general story of it is like because the 2D version of Clone Wars shows the whole invasion of Coruscant. I mean, that part obviously is canon.
Yes.
And that's kind of where Labyrinth of Evil leaves off. Is right, I think, at that battle.
Isn't Labyrinth Evil the one? Isn't that the one where he gets the scar?
I don't know.
Anakin gets
I
the
can't
scar in
remember.
that book, I think.
It's been forever since I've read it. I read it right before the movie came out.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's where the book before Episode
Probably.
3 is the one where he gets the
I
scar.
think so. I think you're right.
And I remember reading that was George Lucas's
Yeah, I think you're right.
commissioned story. So
Let's
if they mentioned
see.
Korriban in that, I'd be hard pressed to say, I don't know, that's tough.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up and it doesn't find any relation to that book in Lucasfilm or George Lucas, and can't find it right now. But I'll have to look more into this later. It's
Wow.
just, yeah,
Yeah, that's a big thing. I don't know. I don't know why they would change it.
yeah.
But
I mean, it says here the 2D episodes were the invasion of Coruscant were based on early plot outlines for this novel, but there's inconsistencies between the two. So like the big Mace, when Mace fights General Grievous in the 2D cartoon, in the novel, Mace fights him. But in the show, I think it's Mace and Yoda fights Grievous. So there's like little things like that. Yeah, I mean, there's.
wait, so Labyrinth of Evil is. You're saying so that the Clone Wars. So that contradicts with the Clone Wars, the 2D Clone Wars.
There's like minor inconsistencies between the two.
So
But
Labyrinth of Evil is the
it's the origin of those stories.
it has but it has the invasion in that.
Yes.
Oh, it does.
kind of like ends the same time. Like
Oh, okay.
the end of that book is basically the end of the 2D Clone Wars.
So does he still get the cough the same way?
I
you remember-
because that's when
Mace crushes his
Yeah,
his
messes
chest
with him.
with the Force.
pretty sure. Yeah, pretty sure it's the same. I mean, yeah, like I said, it's been forever since I read it, but
Maybe I should read that.
yeah, I mean, I've got it. I can let you read it, but
I don't know, but I wonder if they say so. It says that Korriban is mentioned in that though.
yes,
Interesting.
it's a good book. It's a very good book.
Yeah. So
Like the part in episode 3 when, and I always remember this when I saw episode 3, where Obi-Wan says, they're talking about like that's the 9th time you saved me, or the 10th time
yes,
I've saved your life. It's the 9th time that business on Kato Pneumonia doesn't count. What he's talking about is in Labyrinth of Evil.
Ah.
So, yeah, it's very interesting how it fits. But anyways, I can't think of if there's anything else. Here's one more big thing in the Clone Wars, just kind of briefly mentioned. Yoda fighting Darth Sidious. What appears to be
Yes.
Yoda fighting Darth Sidious. But this just sounds awesome. Just, fighting him before he actually fights him in the movie. Very interesting. And if that's true, he fights him. He still doesn't know that that's Emperor Palpatine. It's all it's curiouser and curiouser. But, oh well. Anything else that stuck out? I can't think of anything.
Not really.
Animation looks great.
Animation looks
Everything
fine.
looks fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it got better every year.
Yeah.
No, I think this was the perfect little teaser trailer you put out for the entire season.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I think I think this whole. I really do think this whole Korriban Morriban thing, though.
I'm ready.
That's the first really big change.
I'm ready for everything to be just thrown out the window.
Yeah, like I think you have to be. I really do. I think you have to. You have to look back and just realize that anything that's not in the movies or in the TV shows hasn't happened.
You get the little chaos. You gotta disrupt the established order and all that. You gotta just Star Wars. Let it run.
I'm just wondering when. I'm actually really excited to get the first, and I'll read it thoroughly. Because we'll get a first encyclopedia from the story group. Yeah. Like, here's the first chapter of the canon stuff. Here's our first group of canon stuff. So, because then we'll start getting more actual profiles from people and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, right now, if you go to StarWars.com and go to their database, like whatever's in that database, that's canon.
We looked up Korriban in that, didn't we? Because they reference Wikipedia a lot.
But they never mentioned Korriban. They never mentioned Korriban. In fact, I'll look it up real fast right now. But I remember looking that up, thinking they got to mention Korriban, don't they? And then when you click Explore, there's an encyclopedia. So when you click on encyclopedia under StarWars.com, now like I said before, this is during the movies 1, 2, and 3. They had a button that had EU. Yeah. And you can click EU and you can find out more characters. Yeah. You can look up Darth Bane. Yeah. You can look up Darth
Revan.
You can look Revan and Malek and all that stuff. So then when you go down to groups, so you can do groups. But see now they got rid of the EU thing. It's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in Clone Wars. Then you can go by groups and you can go by theme. You can search by theme, Galactic Empire, and then here's Sith, Ancient Order. So you can click on Sith. This is where it gets. So this is where I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna read about Korriban right here, and so this is all it says about the Sith on StarWars.com. It says Ancient Order of the Dark Side. About. Okay, here it goes. An ancient order. So bear with me. I'll read this out real fast. An ancient order of Force practitioners devoted to the dark side and determined to destroy the Jedi. The Sith were a menace long thought extinct. Thousands of years ago, a rogue Jedi had come to the understanding that the true power of the Force lay not through contemplation and passivity. Only by tapping into dark side could its true potential be gained. The Jedi Council at the time balked at his new direction. Dark Jedi was outcast, but he eventually gained followers to his new order. With the promise of the new powers attainable by tapping into the hateful energies of the dark side, it was only a matter of time before the order self-destructed. Power-hungry Sith practitioners fought amongst themselves and dwindled their numbers. Weakened by fighting, the Sith were easily wiped out by the Jedi. One Sith had the cunning to survive. Darth Bane reconstructed the cult so that there could only be two, no more, no less, a master and an apprentice. Bane adopted cunning, subterfuge, and stealth as the fundamental tenets of the Sith Order. Bane took an apprentice. When that apprentice succeeded him, that new Sith Lord would take an apprentice. Thus, the Sith quietly continued for centuries until the time of Darth Sidious. That is it.
It says official.
That is the description on StarWars.com of the Sith. Yeah. That is it. So anything beyond that?
Yeah.
So Darth Bane obviously is canon.
Correct.
Now when you go into... Now, you're right. When you go scroll down a little bit, it says more on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
But I guess, there's more that you can reference, but it's not official.
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with Wikipedia. Either just keep it, let it be its own thing, or... Excuse me.
Wikipedia is just like Wikipedia, right?
Yeah.
It's people like us that update it.
Yeah, so I'm saying they can just leave it alone, or maybe they can absorb it.
They could absorb it, but I think they're literally just going to let it go, and then as canon starts changing, they'll go in there and change. Because, you'll come across places in Wikipedia where it'll say updated.
Yeah.
It'll say... because of this no longer happens. It's not canon anymore. So that's what you're going to see more and more, I think. I mean, especially under that Sith Order, like all that stuff Korriban. I mean, it looks like all that stuff might be.
And that's what's going to be so hard for some fans because Korriban is so synonymous with Sith. And to just throw it out like that, that's going to be crazy.
Now
Break a
it's
lot of hearts.
Moribon.
Moribon. Get used to it.
I guess.
Hop on the train.
But again, we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Until the show comes out.
Maybe the extended scene's like Moribon, and someone else whispered to him, "Oh, I'm sorry, I meant Korriban."
Yeah.
Some mistake. Sorry. My bad.
Or, the thing about trailers, they could have combined those two lines that are two different sentences. Because they say you must travel to Moribon.
And then someone else.
And then it cuts, it's cutting to something else, and then you hear the ancient homeworld of the it could be some other line. You know what I mean? I don't know. I won't until I see it, until they tell me for sure, I'm not going to jump to any conclusions anyway. All right, so I guess that's our take on the trailer. And obviously we are very excited about seeing the Clone Wars come to an end as we get ready for Star Wars Rebels.
Right.
Which, if you want to go there, Star Wars is doing a great job with their YouTube channel, updating that periodically with older videos as well. You can see a lot of interviews on there, but you can get profiles of all the characters basically now, I think, for Star Wars Rebels coming out. The latest ones coming out this past week are Hera, the pilot, and Sabine.
Sabine.
She's kind of the, what'd you say, the Mandalorian? She's a Mandalorian?
She's the female Mandalorian.
Oh, okay.
So we're kind of rough and tough type.
Yes. Cool.
Yep.
All right, so that's the show. We'll finish up episode 1 month with another question from Star Wars for our trivia.
Cool.
We got to pick another question here. What's today's date? 2/25?
2/25.
Let's do that number. How about that?
Okay.
2/25. From episode 1. All right, here we go. Let me type it in. All right, here we go. 2/25, episode 1. Which pod racer belonged to the Flugrian
Careful.
species? Flugrian species.
Flugrian.
Which pod racer? A. Dud Bolt. B. Arc Bumpy Roos. C. Elon Mac. Or D. Sebulba. Now, Sebulba's the only one I recognize, obviously.
And he's a Doug.
So, which pod racer belonged to the Flugrian species?
Flugrian species. Yeah.
A, B, or C, basically, because we know it's. I think we both ruled out.
2/25. Flugrian. Dudbolt, Arc Bumpy Roos, Elon Mach. Gosh, this is a total guess.
Yeah, it is a total guess.
Flugrian. What could be a Flugrian? Imagine what that sounds like, what it could look like.
I'm just trying to think of
Flug.
Not, and the thing about it is, I know a couple of the other names, but none of those three I recognize.
No.
Yeah. So I this total guess. I have no idea.
I'm gonna go with B.
You're gonna go B. Yeah. Okay, I was thinking about going B, but I'm gonna change it up then. I'll go C.
Okay. I was thinking C at first, but yeah, we'll see. B.
All right, B. Here's Casey's answer. B.
Oh, fart. C.
C.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, Elon.
He's my first guess.
You always go with your first guess.
Yeah.
Always.
He has a nickname. Pod racers have nicknames.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking B. And I honestly probably would have picked B if you would have picked C. Because I just wanted to do something
Dang
different.
it.
All right, so I got lucky on that one.
Stupid.
That puts me at 31-18.
Yeah.
Casey is 27-22.
Right. We need to get some EU stuff that I know.
Correct. Well, it's in there.
There was a lot.
It's in there.
Yeah.
It's not real now, maybe. So you'd be wrong, I guess. Maybe.
Shut up.
All right, so that'll do it for this episode of Inside the Force. Check us out at InsideTheForce.com. Follow us on Twitter at Inside the Force. Casey over there is Kryptonian1138. I am D Cottingham21 on Twitter. All the shows right there on the website, as well as you can subscribe to our iTunes right there. If you have an RSS reader, our RSS feed is right there. Links to all of our other shows are right there, as well as 21 Network. We are a part of the 21 Network. All the shows on 21network.com. The latest ones are right there. You can listen to, or you can subscribe to all of our shows. KooCast, this show, Inside the Force. We got Popular Fanatics. You got Star Wars TCG, the 21 Podcast, the Hail Mary Podcast, and, of course, In the Comics. So, I think that'll do it for us.
That'll do.
That'll do. Next week, we will probably hit on more news, obviously, but then we'll talk more about the Clone Wars because the debut will be coming that following Friday. Mm-hmm. We'll get everything geared up for that. And hopefully we got some talks going on for some guests coming.
Yep.
We're going to try to line that up for you guys, hopefully before this Clone Wars hit. So, all right. So thanks for tuning in for Casey Cooley.
Power's back. That little droid did it. He bypassed the main power drive. Deflector shields up at maximum.
Very good.
Yeah.
Ric Olié.
Uncle Rick.
Read by the nephew Mick Olié.
Yeah. He always says that.
He does.
He told me his stories of those days.
He taught you a lot.
Yep.
He taught you a lot. That's great. All right. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out. Check us out next week as we begin episode 2 month with a brand new profile of somebody from episode 2. All right. He's Casey Cooley.
Goodbye, everybody.
I'm David Cottingham. May the Force be with you.
This has been a production of the 21 Network. For more great podcasts, visit 21network.com. To view additional content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/21network. Follow us on Twitter at 21network for the latest news and updates. The 21 Network, for the fan and all of us.